Hey, everybody, welcome back. This week, I wanted to get into a little bit of psychology as far as endurance sports goes. So, there's been a couple of events that have happened in the relative recent history here that have got me thinking about, taking things too far or taking things to the extreme. And the two that I am thinking of personally are climbing that Taipei building without any rope or real safety measures other than extreme ability, as well as a fella that swam around Iceland. So both of these are extreme in their own right. And I wanted to address folks out there that, I may never meet you. Um, but I want you to think about why you do things, right? So, as far as sports go, the great thing about sports is that it is good for us. It is healthy to be physically fit. It helps us meet friends, enjoy new places, and exposure to maybe even different ideas, different ways of viewing the world, and things like that. But just like anything in life, too much of a good thing is dangerous and hazardous. So this is where I'm going with this. The title of this presentation here is the Pyramid of Lunacy, because anything taken to an extreme becomes a little crazy. All right, and here is the pyramid as I've written it, and maybe this has been in other places, but this is my version. So down at the bottom we've got basically health and wellness. The next level is, I can't even read it. The challenge of particular events. Going beyond that, we can get into the competition phase of things, just trying to be better than our peers. What's next? Then we're pushing the limits. So that could be doing something that's outside of your comfort range, but still relatively reasonable. And the top two are my concern, right? We get into obsession or compulsion, and then the edge. Now, I'm going to work from the bottom to the top. When you're just getting started or you're doing any kind of sport, just being active in general is good. If you look at like health guidelines, they're saying now that like walking up and down the stairs twice a week is going to save years of your life, right? So that's like at the very lowest end of things that you would want to do to be active. But when we get a little more reasonable, 30, 45 minutes a day, 5 or 6 days a week, you're in super duper shape. Maybe you're not like a 4% ripped athlete, but you're an active person, and that's great. It's probably helping you sleep better, helping with your outlook on life, helping you to meet people that you otherwise wouldn't meet. So, 95% of the joyous things that you can get from exercise, and I'm talking about endurance sports, but exercise in general, can be achieved with this lower level of, the first rung in the pyramid, or the first building block of the pyramid. So everything beyond that is up to you as a person. Do you want to challenge yourself? Do you want to take on, something that's harder than you might otherwise? Those are all personal decisions, and really everything in life, more or less, is a personal decision. There are some things that are out of your control, different subject. But let's talk about moving up this ladder. So the next step would be doing like a event, whether it's a 10K, a 5K, a half marathon, and even marathon training, which is now getting into a relatively extreme sport, would be normal. It's normalized. I don't know if it's normal. And the same goes in the triathlon world, where I spend the majority of my time, where a sprint triathlon, virtually everyone can do it. And then we go to an Olympic distance, which, again, virtually everyone can do it. It's a little harder. It's a little longer. And then the half Ironman and the Ironman are getting, again, into the extreme event category. However, they are achievable. When we go beyond those distances, we start to get into things that are considered extreme even by endurance athlete standards. So, we got the competition phase, where you can do all the competition phase with all these sports that I just talked about, or these distances that I just talked about. And then we get into the pushing the limits, which is, okay, now I did an Ironman or I did a half, and I saw that they have the Ultraman. Okay, Ultraman may be a 3-day event where you break it up. So at least you're getting rest and recovery after each leg of those races. Still very challenging. There are also some things in the triathlon world that are beyond that, where we're talking about doing 5 Ironmans 5 days in a row, or 5 Ironman distances without stopping, or only stopping when you need to sleep. So that's very extreme, even by standards that I'm used to. And it goes further. And then in the running world, we have things like, an ultra run, right? So a shortest ultra run is a 50K, but 50-mile runs, 100-mile runs, longer than 100-mile runs, 147-mile runs in the desert. So now we're talking like a really, really extreme event. And not only are we dealing with how do you train for these events, which is extreme in itself, but the risks that you're taking on. So anytime you're going into these longer than half a day events, you're putting your body in extreme stress, and your risk of having things go wrong increases fairly dramatically, really, because of the electrolyte imbalance, fatigue, things like that. Talk about another example. Something that people do is ride across the country, bike ride across the country. But a typical bike ride is going to be 2 or 3 months where they're camping out or stopping in hotels, riding 50, 60 miles a day, and then resting and recovering like a normal human being. But there's another extreme version of that, of how fast can I ride across the country, right? So this is putting 3,000 miles into as short a time as possible. And again, that's pretty extreme. Going past those normal competition things, you have to ask yourself, why would you want to do it? And I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying you need to have really good understanding of why you're putting yourself into these extreme situations. Now, if it's an issue where you're troubling your family trying to prepare for these events, or you're bankrupting yourself undertaking these events, then I don't think you need the event. I think you really need a counselor. Okay. And I'm not poking fun at anybody that does this stuff, but if you don't have like a good justification for it and it is causing hardship in your life, there's something going on there that needs to be looked at and addressed. Okay. And then when we get to the final one, what I put as the edge, and I know some of you out there know what I'm talking about. This is where your life is in your hands, right? Like one bad step and it's all over. And so there is a place where you are there and you have to be 100% all the time, because one bad step will take you off, right? So that's a very dangerous place to be. Now, you can make the argument that it is this life on the edge that reminds us we're alive. However, it's also very risky, So if you have a lot to live for, do you need to take these edge risks? So anytime you're thinking about doing a hard event, whatever level it is, ask yourself, is the reward worth the risk? Am I risking my health? Am I risking my family? Am I risking my future by doing these extreme events? And I want to take it back to some of the other stuff. Psychologically, it's great to challenge yourself. It's great to put things in the world that you want to do that are going to motivate you and keep you moving forward. But we need to see the line and have an understanding of where the line is between a healthy obsession that, and again, sports is a better obsession than gambling or drugs or other destructive things, right? But if our interest in sport goes from healthy to unhealthy, this is not good. This unhealthy obsession with, I have to do an extreme event because that's how I validate my existence. You need perspective. Okay, so anytime you're looking at doing a really tough event, just make sure that you understand why you're doing it and the risks involved with it. Because if you look at the history of extreme events, there's always a percentage of people that like literally don't survive those events. And you may say, and this is, again, normal human nature, it's going to happen to somebody else. It's not me. I'm the one that's safe, et cetera, et cetera. But the truth is, if you put yourself into that dangerous situation, you become a statistic, right? If 2 out of 100 people don't survive a situation and you're one of the 100, your chances are 2% or higher that you're not going to make it. So I I know this is kind of a little off topic from what I normally talk about with training, but I wanted to address some of this. And again, this is going to some of the psychology of endurance sports. Uh, Doing extreme events is not bad inherently. However, you need to understand the risks. You need to have a thorough understanding of why you're participating in that event and prepare for eventualities. Until next time, I'll see you.